Hey everyone, welcome back to Shade Review. In today's video, we are reviewing the Ray-Ban RB 7681 Jorge sunglasses. But first, I'll thank today's video sponsor, our own website, shadereviewstore.com, the absolute best place to buy designer sunglasses, up to 80% off the original MSRP. Again, the website there is shadereviewstore.com. Check it out. So let's go ahead and pop the sunglasses on face and talk about the dimensions. These have 52mm lenses and a 20mm bridge, and this is the standard and only size that these sunglasses are produced in, so they're not available in a larger or a smaller lens size. You're going to be stuck with the 52mm lens size that I have on in today's video. Now, these frames come in a ton of beautiful different colorways. The exact colorway that I have on today's video have their polished striped Havana fronts and then temples, and the lenses are Ray-Ban's blue all-glass crystal lens. And the optical clarity here is really good. These glass lenses are also going to have a very good scratch resistance as well, which is really nice, especially for the longevity of the pair of frames. Now, as far as the frame material goes, these are of course made out of a beautiful acetate material, and these frames are made in Japan. So this is part of Ray-Ban's new Made in Japan series. And Ray-Ban's website is really strange. They don't do a good job of advertising that these frames are made in Japan. They just have an extremely high price tag of $319 with no real explanation as to why the frames cost so much money. But these frames are made in Japan, and for those of you who don't know, Japanese acetate sunglasses are typically some of the absolute best in the world. It almost doesn't matter what brand makes them. If they're made in Japan out of acetate, they're almost always going to be a really high quality pair. Honestly, I've seen hundreds of different pairs, and I've never seen a bad build quality pair of Japanese acetate frames. So that's definitely a good thing that they're made in Japan, not a bad thing. Now, something that's also interesting about this acetate is it actually has a scent to it. So if you're extremely sensitive to smells, these probably won't mess with you too much because it's relatively subtle. But these actually legitimately smell good right out of the box. My favorite comb company that I use all the time is Kent, and those combs are actually scented acetate as well. So again, it's not really strong, but it is just something that's a little bit more high quality and really interesting. Now, as far as styling goes, these frames have a really interesting style to them. They definitely have very bold and somewhat oversized styling to them. So here we can see really thick temples with a raised Ray-Ban logo on both the left and right hand side, and then we can see metal accents here in the top corners of the frames as well, which is kind of reminiscent to an original Ray-Ban Wayfarer, but definitely quite different styling than the original Ray-Ban Wayfarer has. These frames do have a slight cat eye effect to them, which make them look a little bit more feminine than I'd probably want them to be, but these are still definitely a pair that anybody can wear. These frames were definitely not just designed for women. These are going to fit everybody really well. But if you're looking for a more masculine style, this style's probably not going to be exactly what you're looking for, though again, I think I personally can pull these frames off. I think a lot of men out there can pull these frames off as well. Probably the biggest downside of these frames is going to be the weight. These frames come in at 55 grams, so they're a very heavy pair of frames, but that's not surprising because they have very high quality acetate frames, and then they also have a big metal stem that runs through them, and then all glass lenses as well. That's all going to kind of compound to make this pair of frames very heavy, but it is very high quality as well. So definitely some pros and cons there. Now, as far as coverage from the sun goes, these frames are going to offer okay coverage. Here up top, you can see a pretty big gap that lets sunlight in unprotected, and then here on the side, again, there is a massive gap that does let sunlight in unprotected. So overall, not the most practical pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses. If we take a closer look at the front of the frames, we can see a painted on Ray-Ban logo here for authentication purposes, and we can also see a little etched RB logo there, also for authentication purposes. Now, if we move down to the outside temple of the frames, we can see they have a really beefy 7-barrel all-metal hinge, which feels really good when opening up and when closing them. Just very substantial and nice. And we can also see they do have a little Ray-Ban etching there on the hinge as well. And then moving down to the outside temple, we can see it says Ray-Ban made in Japan, and that text is actually going to be etched and not painted. So it's going to be a little bit hard to show it on this POV, but the close-up you can see it pretty well, which is actually really nice. That means it's not going to fade or kind of go away over time like a painted on one would be. This is going to last basically the length of the frame. That's actually what Ray-Ban used to do back when they were owned by Bosch and Lomb. They actually had the information actually like etched into the frame. which I just think is really nice and classy. Now moving down to the outside right ear rest of the frame, we can see it does say Jorge there, and then here we can see the exact model number and color code information. Now something to note, the exact pair that I have on today's video are the RB 7681SF. The F after the S stands for the Asian fit or universal fit, and that's gonna be a low bridge fit. Now, for me, these frames fit my face absolutely perfectly. I really don't have a problem with Asian fit frames. I can fit both regular and Asian fit as well, so they're extremely comfortable on my face. I certainly don't need the Asian fit, and I really don't know too many people who have a problem with the low bridge fit on a pair of frames. Sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable depending on your nose shape. That's definitely something that I did want to note when it comes to most Luxottica owned pair of frames. If it has an F after the S, it is a Asian fit pair of frames. So definitely kind of keep that in mind here. So overall, I think it's an absolutely fantastic pair of sunglasses from Ray-Ban. The build quality really is very similar to all of our People's frames that are made in Japan. Just really, really high end. You really just need to handle a pair of these frames for yourself, and you can just feel and look at the quality difference between this and a handmade pair that is made in Italy. These are definitely going to be a lot better. I really, really hope they make a special Japanese-made original Ray-Ban Wayfarer. The quality of that honestly might be even better than the original vintage Bausch & Lomb ones, because the quality is just going to be absolutely insane, I know it. I really, really hope that they do make that, and it definitely justifies the price tag. These are $319, which seems like a lot of money to pay for a pair of Ray-Bans, but the build quality here is easily double as good as the other Ray-Ban sunglasses, especially their Chinese-made sunglasses. They're just absolutely beautiful, and just a really high-end pair of frames, and $319 is actually a really, really cheap price for a Japanese acetate pair of sunglasses with all glass lenses. So they're actually kind of a bargain. Even though $319 for a pair of non-polarized Ray-Bans does sound expensive, it's actually not considering the actual build quality of these frames. They also come in a special box which has a little bit of Japanese branding, and it's gonna, kind of protect them a little bit better. But other than that, this is a really, really good pair of sunglasses from Ray-Ban. I am very happy with all these new Japanese releases. They're just really, really fun. I'm really not sure why Ray-Ban is doing it, because they're not doing a good job of advertising the quality difference. They're not doing a good job of kind of explaining what made in Japan actually means in the eyewear industry. So they're kind of making these frames for people just like me who really care about the build quality and all the little details on a pair of frames. And for that, I'm just really excited. But that's all I got for this video. If you want to buy a pair, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below directly to Ray-Ban's website. They do have them available in a ton of other beautiful colorways as well. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give me a big thumbs up down below. And of course, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and then you'll be notified every single time I upload a brand new video just like this one to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.